operating in Midtown. If you're heading out of downtown, eastbound traffic is back up to speed near Harvard and Yale, so that's some good news. The inbound westbound drive, it's busy still near Memorial, getting up towards I-44, but you're moving as you get on to downtown. Highway 169 on the south end, we've cleared up the trouble near the curve there, the Creek Turnpike down towards Memorial. Northbound Highway 75, still tough in Glenpool here, about a mile of congestion. It appears we have a southbound impact as well, and this is just south of the traffic light. There is some activity. First responders are going to be present on Highway 75. Again, that's going to be between 151st and 141st there. Tough both directions in Glenpool at the moment. Big swings in temperatures, especially from warm to freezing, and notorious for snapping garage door springs. Superior overhead door, the go-to guys for fixing broken garage door springs fast. Superior overhead door, 258 door. That's 258 door. From the MullenPlumbing.com Traffic Center, I'm Chase Thompson, 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Time.
Senator James Lankford is in the state today, going to Bartlesville. He's going to join us in about 3 minutes. We'll talk about this bridge collapse in Baltimore, see what he's heard about it. Supreme Court going to decide on mifepristone today. And we have other things to talk to him about, including his testimony regarding the flood of fentanyl into the U.S. and smugglers and cartels. Senator Lankford live on the KRMG Morning News after this, 8:37.
Get your news, weather, and traffic the way you want it.
Download it for free on iPhone or Android.
Customizable alerts on the KRMG app, plus the KRMG open mic feature.
That's why I listen to you guys. Keep doing what you do.
Stay connected with 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Dan Potter.
As humans, we're naturally driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. When I was looking to hire someone, it was so slow and overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Fred Meyer always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices. And when you download the Fred Meyer app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's easy to save big. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. New restrictions apply.
Choose from a great selection of digital coupons and use them up to 5 times in one transaction. Check our app for details. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone.
Join us today during the Jeep Celebration event. It's your chance to celebrate your sense of adventure with great deals on a wide selection of legendary Jeep brand SUVs. And right now, current FCA lessees can purchase and get $6,500 total cash allowance on 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee L Overland when financed. Financing for well-qualified buyers through Chrysler Capital. Not all buyers will qualify. Current vehicle must be registered at least 30 days prior to purchase. Contact dealer for details. Take retail delivery by April 1st, 2024. Jeep is a registered trademark.
If you only have a 401k, you're not getting the most for retirement.
Wait, what?
Add a Robinhood IRA on top, then they'll boost it by 3%.
You can do that?
And if you transfer in any retirement account, you get 3% on top of that.
Is there a limit to the match?
No limit. Robinhood Gold gets you the biggest contribution match of any IRA on the market. Sign up for Robinhood Gold at Robinhood.com/boost by April 30th. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match on scheme IRA and 5 years match on transfer subject to additional terms and conditions. Robinhood LLC member SIPC.
The good folks at Wendy's have a revolutionary new product for you. Introducing the new Orange Dreamsicle Frosty. It's like a time machine that takes you all the way back to now, the year 2024. It's the classic creamy, orangey flavor you remember. Dare I say, it's new-timey. It's the flavor you grew up with, just all grown up. Head over to your local Wendy's establishment and get yours while supplies last. The new Orange Dreamsicle Frosty. Here for the now, for now.
Limited time only at participating Wendy's.
We are 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Live and local. This is the KRMG Morning News with Dan Potter.
investigation, but there's nothing that points that in any direction.
And by that, the Transportation Secretary there in Maryland, Paul Wiedefeld, means that there's no indication there's terrorism involved in this bridge collapse. The Francis Scott Key Bridge across Baltimore Harbor, where a container cargo ship slammed into one of the pylons overnight, and the bridge just tumbled like a house of cards. And they are still searching for up to maybe 20 people, at least 7 that they know are working on the bridge. As always, when news is breaking, it's good to welcome U.S. Senator James Langford live here tonight.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning to both of you. A difficult day for the folks that are in Baltimore, to say the least.
Yeah, what are you hearing, if anything? You heard the Transportation Secretary there for the state say it wasn't terrorism, at least as far as they're concerned. And it sounds like maybe the crew knew that this was going to happen and were trying to warn people on land. Do you know anything?
I do not yet. Yeah, I'm getting bits and pieces on this, but I've had no notification. As you know, I serve on the Intelligence Committee, and I typically would get a notification if there's a sense that this is terrorism related, and I have not had that kind of notification at this point at all. So as far as we can tell, and again, it's early in the investigation, this is just a mistake that was made or a mechanical failure. We'll find out in the days ahead, but incredibly tragic for all those families. Obviously, we in Oklahoma have lived through that to be able to have a barge hit the Weber's Falls Bridge now more than 20 years ago. So we understand that this can happen, but thankfully is exceptionally rare.
You're back in the state today. You're headed to Bartlesville. What do you have planned up there?
I am. Was in Woodward all day yesterday. I've been in Bartlesville all day today, just meeting with a bunch of folks just there in the community, getting a chance to be able to hear what's going on, what their thoughts are on budget issues, on some of the things in the future. Always trying to be able to track the water issues around Bartlesville and see what we can do to be able to help make sure that that is well taken care of. I'll actually be in Tulsa for meetings tomorrow. So it's a good opportunity when we're the week of Easter. We don't have voting that week, so I get the opportunity to be able to travel around the state.
Well, I'm sure you'll be keeping your eye on the Supreme Court, hearing arguments today in its first abortion case since it overturned Roe v. Wade 2 years ago. What's at stake this time is the access to a medication used in nearly 2/3 of all abortions in the U.S., mifepristone. Abortion opponents want the justices to ratify an appeals court ruling that would limit access to it, almost ban it. One of the Senate's staunchest anti-abortion advocates is Senator James Langford, so I would presume that you hope the court does ban mifepristone.
Yeah, I actually don't think mifepristone is in a threat of a ban based on this. The FDA made a decision in 2001 and then again in 2016 to change how it is actually distributed. This is a 2-pill chemical abortion, do-it-yourself at-home abortion kit is basically what it is. And what happened for the Biden administration, they took away the requirement to actually visit with the doctor or to be able to learn if there are side effects. So the way that this is set up now is you take these 2 pills and it forces your body to be able to have an abortion at home. But now with not having to see a doctor on it, and the change that the FDA made on this, if you have an ectopic pregnancy, your life is at risk at that point by taking this pill because you will significantly hemorrhage if you have the wrong blood type. This could cause sterilization for the future. So there are lots of other issues that are related to this. That the court's decision really is not going to be whether to ban this. The court's decision is going to be to be able to take this back to previous versions of FDA decisions, that someone has to see a doctor, that there has to be a turning in of the actual side effects, because right now the Biden administration is saying even if a woman ends up in the emergency room, don't turn that in on the challenges and side effects on this. Only if she died, actually turn this in. So then the Biden administration can say, we've had no reports of any other problems with this drug, because they're literally asking for no reports other than if a woman dies when they come in. So this would not cause a banning of it, but it would cause it to say you've got to actually go to a doctor, you've got to be able to get a review for this. You can't just have somebody mail this to you at home.
All of the drugs, even the over-counter drugs, have side effects, some of them deadly. How is mifepristone different?
It is different because if you have an ectopic pregnancy, or if your pregnancy is a few more weeks than what you know of, it can really cause major problems on us. Those are very preventable. That's why past it would be, these drugs were legal to be able to have. Obviously, I have an issue just personally because I've have a value for every single child. But these drugs were illegal in the past, but you had to get a quick sonogram check to be able to evaluate the age of the child and also the location of the child in the womb to be able to make sure that it was safe to be able to take. So those things have now been waived, and that just causes other complications and raises the risk significantly for women.
There are knock-on effects if the court does what it's being asked to do here, and you know, one of them would be, why do we need the FDA if we have a court to decide or is going to overrule the FDA? That's what some of the opponents are saying. And then others are saying that it would open up a door to suing the FDA if you say, you know, have a bad reaction or someone in your family dies from a reaction to a drug that the FDA has approved. Do you see unintended consequences possible?
I don't in this case. I understand. I've heard some of the horror stories there saying that working to stay out of everything on FDA. FDA has a legal process that they have to go through called the Administrative Procedures Act. If they don't follow that, that's really the challenge to the court. If they do follow that, they go based on science, they actually do the comment period, they do all those things, they're following the law. So this is not the court evaluating a drug, whether they like a drug or don't like a drug. This is they follow the law. That's the thing that the court is actually evaluating, and that would be true for any drug. If the FDA has a legal process they have to go through for approval, if they do not to follow the legal process, they should end up in court. But if they follow the legal process, then there shouldn't be a fear of them actually being challenged.
847, talking live with Senator James Lankford.
You recently participated in a Senate subcommittee hearing that looked at ways to stop the flood of fentanyl coming into the U.S. Much of it's coming from Mexico. If you could snap your fingers today and change American policy towards the border and Mexico and the cartels, what would you do?
Yeah, well, number one, I would close the border down. That we would not have illegal immigration coming through. That is actually what's allowing a lot of the movement of this fentanyl coming in. It's not every migrant that's crossing is carrying fentanyl, but the way the cartels actually do this is they'll put 40 or 50 migrants across at a time, which causes the Border Patrol to come in to be able, for humanitarian reasons, pick those up. When that happens, they'll go 2 miles upriver or down through the desert and move people in backpacks across the desert and be able to carry in fentanyl or any of the drugs from contraband. So that's an issue. You've got to be able to deal with the migration issues with illegal immigration because that frees up the Border Patrol to be able to go after folks that are smuggling drugs in. I would also actually release into our ports of entry more inspection equipment. We've got about $300 million worth of what's called non-intrusive inspection, just scanning devices that can help pick up fentanyl coming through and other drugs and contraband, but it's currently sitting in warehouses rather than actually installed at our border, so that clearly needs to be done. We need to work with China on the precursors to make sure they're logging this out, because these are Chinese criminal organizations partnering with Mexican cartels to be able to move this. And then obviously we've got to deal with treatment and the addiction issues here in our country as well. We're demanding the supply based on people requesting it here and trying to buy it on the street. And they're willing sellers that are Mexican cartels that are willing to be able to make money off of the death of Americans and destruction of our families.
Let's see if we can deal with two things very quickly in about the minute that we have left here. Do you see a way to get at Hamas other than a full-scale invasion of Rafah? Or, you know, if you were talking to Netanyahu, what would you be telling him to do?
Yeah, there are 4 battalions right now of Hamas fighters that are in Rafah that are hiding out among those civilians. And what Netanyahu is saying is we can't ignore 4 battalion of terrorists hiding among civilians, saying we're just going to ignore that, knowing that those folks have already announced when this is over, we're going to come back and kill Israelis again. If they know there are terrorists that are there, we know they're organized and well prepared to come and attack again, and they know they have done it, they're going to go in and to be able to do that. And they're going to work house to house. It's going to be a very difficult fight to be able to do that. Israel has already said they're going to try to relocate as many civilians as they can, have a checkpoint as they move people from south to north. So the Israelis are trying to protect lives there. I know that the world media is focusing, they are trying to protect lives, but they're also trying to protect Israeli lives as well to keep them from being slaughtered again.
And as a member of the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate, have you heard from Homeland Security about their raid of Sean Combs, Diddy's properties in California and in Miami yesterday? And is he involved in human trafficking?
I have not yet. We will get a report eventually once some of those pieces start coming out, but I have not got any more details on that one.
Senator, have a good day in Bartlesville and a good day in Tulsa tomorrow, and we thank you for joining us.
I look forward to it. Thanks, y'all. Pray for the nation. There's a lot of issues.
Oklahoma Senator James Langford, 851, 5-day forecast brought to you by Don Carlton. Honda 4141 South Memorial, Fox 23, KRMG meteorologist Michaela Smith. Morning, Michaela.
Good morning, Dan.
Just keep telling yourself by Saturday this will be a distant memory.
Yeah, you know, it's so cold this morning, especially compared to yesterday. We were in like the 50s and 60s, so people are going to have a little bit of a shock to their system when they come out, but it is so not lasting long. By the time we get to the weekend, you're going to be like, wait, what happened earlier this week?
Take us through the deets.
So we're going to be cold, as you know, this morning, and as we go through the afternoon, temperatures will only rise to about 53 for your high today, puts you about 14 degrees below average, so it is going to stay cold all day long. We'll see partly cloudy skies for your Tuesday. Now, starting tomorrow morning for your Wednesday, we're still talking about temperatures being freezing or a little bit below. Right now, that forecast low is right around 31 degrees, with 58 in the afternoon, still keeping those partly cloudy skies. Then we start to talk about more sunshine, and that's really when our warm-up starts to happen. By the time we get to Thursday, mostly sunny skies and a high of 68 degrees, mostly sunny skies and a high of 77 for your Friday, so you really see that warm-up happening, but you'll feel it the most by this weekend. Saturday, you'll have a high of 81 with mostly sunny skies, and on your Easter Sunday right now, partly cloudy, but a high of 84 degrees. I'm meteorologist Michaela Smith for Fox 23 and 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
35 in Owasso, 36 feels like 27 at Tulsa Severe Weather Station.
Highway 75 northbound into Glenpool. A bit more of a headache here than we would like near 151st and to 141st. It looks to be improving. Jennifer sent us a text. There was an oversized load trying to make a U-turn, and that was impacting all traffic on Highway 75 there in Glenpool. The drive on Highway 169 northbound looking better near 11th up to 244. There was a collision reported there off to the side. Very sluggish as you've been taking that off-ramp through your work zone. Storms in Oklahoma can bring damaging winds to your home or business. If you experience storm damage, make your first call to ODR. They work with all insurance companies to restore your home or business back to its original condition. Oklahoma Disaster Restoration. From the MullenPlumbing.com Traffic Center, I'm Chase Thompson, 102.3 KRNG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
You know that Big Burger detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the market liquid detergent.
Fred Meyer always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices. And when you download the Fred Meyer app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's easy to save big. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply.
We've locked in low prices to help you save big store-wide. Look for the locked-in low prices tags and enjoy extra savings throughout the store. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone.
Join us today during the Jeep Celebration event. It's your chance to celebrate your sense of adventure with great deals on a wide selection of legendary Jeep brand SUVs. And right now, current FCA lessees can purchase and get $6,500 total cash allowance on 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee L Overland when financed. Financing for well-qualified buyers through Carson Capital. Not all buyers will qualify. Current vehicle must be registered at least 30 days prior to purchase. Contact dealer for details. Take retail delivery by April 1st, 2024. Jeep is a registered trademark.
We love covering tech news on KRMG, and especially medical tech news, because the future of medicine is here right now at QC Kinetics. QC, the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management that we've seen in decades, regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if joint pain keeps you from doing what you love, you gotta call QC Kinetics now, because this is a procedure with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs. These are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatments that deliver lasting results. They take natural biologics from your own body, using your own body's power to repair and restore damaged tissue. QC Kinetics, under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkamp, he wants you to get relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 918-990-9200. 918-990-9200. Again, 918-990-9200.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a
ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Oklahoma attorneys. Suite 200 East, Skelly Drive, Suite 251, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 74135.
Hey, Dan Potter with a tip about how you can be a hero with your coworkers. During a recent meeting here at the station, we served La Roma pizza. And you should have seen the high fives the staff member who brought that pizza got when he brought it in. Wonderful pizza from La Roma. He said he felt like a hero. You can get that same feeling when you order takeout from La Roma Pizza for your next meeting. Or better yet, bring your friends and family to La Roma for lunch or dinner. La Roma Pizza, 61st and Sheridan, and LaRomaPizzaTulsa.com.
For over 20 years, DRS Drywall Repair Specialist is the leader in drywall repair for walls, ceilings, cracks, holes, water damage, matching texture, removing popcorn ceiling, and old wallpaper. If your walls suffer with unsightly blemishes or you're remodeling, then call or text Shane with DRS Drywall Repair Specialist at 918-437-WALL. Shane will get you an immediate estimate or secure an appointment. Fully insured Drywall Repair Specialist, repairing your home's wall and ceiling flaws since 2003. 918-437-WALL.
I'm Martin Hope, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I told you about how your nose is the body's air filter. But Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. And that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, "After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
We're getting you to work on time.
Hey, it's Chase. I have a look at the roadways coming up in 4 minutes.
All right, 8:57. What a busy morning. Here's Fox 23 KRMG Chief Meteorologist James Adelon.
Thank you, Dan. Cold start today with a gusty northwest wind. You'll need a jacket or maybe even a coat all day. Only low 50s for highs today. Another light freeze even in the heart of Tulsa tonight. Tomorrow's highs only in the mid to upper 50s. A little warmer, though, by Thursday. I'm Chief Meteorologist James Adelon for Fox 23 and 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Windy, cloudy, 36, feels like 27 at Tulsa Severe Weather Station.
A little sluggish in Glenville, Highway 75. This is south of the traffic light, getting some earlier congested traffic taken care of. At the northeast corner of the downtown loop, if you're coming in on the north end, this is southbound 75 connecting to eastbound 244. That ramp closing there at the corner of the downtown loop for some right-of-way maintenance ongoing until noon. From the MullenPlumbing.com Traffic Center, I'm Chase Thompson, 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Are you talking? Hey, it's Scott from ODOT. Here to chat about something important. Safety corridors. What's a safety corridor? It's a stretch of road where more people are killed or seriously injured in crashes. When you see a sign for a safety corridor, it means to be extra careful. Watch your speed, focus on the road, and leave plenty of space ahead to react. You know what else it means? More police and higher fines. Together, we can save lives in safety corridors, so we can all get there safely. A message from ODOT.
KRMG FM Sand Springs. KRMG Tulsa. News is next on 102.3 KRMG.
Remember today, you listen to
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Live team coverage starts now.
An intensive search and rescue operation underway this hour in Baltimore at the site of a massive bridge collapse.
It's a pretty good drive around town right now. If you're over in Broken Arrow, though, the left lane eastbound Broken Arrow Expressway is closed down 145th East Avenue in Kenosha, starting right now until 3 o'clock this afternoon while they do some lighting repairs.
9 o'clock, mostly cloudy right now, 34 degrees in the KRMG 24-hour Fox News Center. I'm Glenn Schroeder with team coverage of our top story. It is downright cold this morning, but there is good news. Chief Meteorologist James Alott says we'll enjoy temperatures in the 50s this afternoon.
Still looking at temps that'll drop to freezing or below late tonight and tomorrow morning, so one more night to protect those plants. And this is about on schedule. On average, Tulsa's last freeze is the last week of March, but it will stay on the chilly side. But as we head toward Easter weekend, temperatures climbing back up into the 80s and breezy on Easter Sunday.
Breaking news update. The search continues for victims after a major bridge collapse in Baltimore.
This is a special report from ABC News. Baltimore bridge collapse. I'm Sherry Preston. A large container ship ramming into the key bridge in Baltimore overnight, causing it to snap and plunge into the river below. Several vehicles falling into the chilly water. Search teams looking for people who may have fallen in as well. ABC's Ike Jachi is on the scene of the collapse.
There's a video circulating on social media right now of this entire incident. In the minutes before that collision, traffic was regular on that bridge, but just before that collision, it appears that the traffic has indeed stopped. Now, there is a question whether or not the bridge was alerted prior to the collision from the individuals on the boat. If that's so, that could have been a possible reason why it appeared as if the traffic had slowed down.
The bridge collapse has paralyzed the port of Baltimore, which is the primary waterway giant container ships arrive from the Chesapeake Bay. Some are saying that repairing the key bridge could take years. This is ABC News.
It's 9:02, Tulsa's most accurate, dependable forecast. The three big things you need to know in the Brian Kilmeade Show next.
1023 KRMG has the largest radio newsroom in Oklahoma. And no matter where the news takes us all each day, we'll always make sure to give you news you can use.
It's a developing story we're following.
We are 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
Attention showers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on Baby Bargain liquid detergent.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and data fast checkout stage. Thanks. You're all set for that count it up and ship around the globe stage.
This one's going to Thailand.
And that, wait, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Whatever your stage, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen.
When something happens to your car, you might say, what you really need to say is something that can actually help. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Just like that, State Farm is there to help you file your claim right on the State Farm website. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people who need their part to make sure you have product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
Construction here, crash there. Whatever's causing problems on the roads, the KRMG traffic team knows about it.
Collision on southbound Highway 169 just south of 31st.
Real-time traffic updates on the KRMG Morning News with Dan Potter and on your way home during the KRMG Afternoon News with Skylar Cooper.
Blocking right now the right 2 lanes westbound I-44.
Plus, we'll send alerts right to your phone through the KRMG app. Download it for free on iPhone or Android and set up push notifications.
That has saved me so much time.
Tulsa's traffic station is 1023 KRMG.
1023 KRMG is Tulsa's most accurate and dependable forecast.
A chilly afternoon, breezy, only 52 the high, and a mostly cloudy night, too. 30 tonight, 57 tomorrow's high, Thursday up to 68, Friday breezy, 77, and in the 80s for Easter weekend. I'm Chief Meteorologist James Alott for Fox 23 and 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Currently cloudy, breezy, and 35.
We're getting you up to speed with the 3 big things you need to to know every 15 minutes.
3.
The Supreme Court hearing oral arguments today over the way the FDA has expanded access to the medication used in most abortions.
2.
And a Watson woman is heading to prison after pleading guilty to fraud.
1.
Intensive search and rescue operation underway this morning in Baltimore at the site of a massive bridge collapse. It's 9:06. I'm Glenn Schroeder on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
From high atop Fox News headquarters in New York City, always seeking solutions, never sowing division. It's Brian Kilmeade.
Brian Kilmeade here. Thanks so much. I come to you from Midtown Manhattan. I heard around the country, around the world, where sadly we lost a police officer last night. He actually is from my town. When he went over to find out why a car was in the bus lane, it turns out the guy in the passenger seat is a convicted felon, 14 different charges, already served for attempted murder in jail, whipped out his gun and shot underneath the bulletproof vest. That's how bad things are getting. And for those people who are police officers, or gets mad when police officers come up and they demand you do certain things about putting your hand on the wheel, and they say, well, I wonder if it's because these guys are so paranoid, or they think they want to be in charge. No, they're worried about it. There's no routine stop. Now more than ever, you never know when things are going to go right, especially in this era where we let all convicted criminals out. Eventually, if we ever lock them up at all. This hour, I'm going to be joined by Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Senator Rick Scott, who's in a tough race, get 6 more years. Veronica Majora, CEO of Alter Ego, a California-based company founded and led by Ukrainian women. And then we'll have a simulcast with Stuart Varney. Meanwhile, we're seeing Governor Wes Moore speak out and just confirm that the cargo ship that took out Francis Scott Key Bridge at 1:15 in the morning, where one person's been rescued and 2 people have been rescued, and at least 5 more are thought to be sadly lost their lives, and many more because some went into the water. It's 48 degrees. He just said that they are confirming that the ship pilots were complaining about they had lost power, lost propulsion before they actually crashed into the bridge. There's no sign of any terror activity. With me right now is Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Colonel, I know it doesn't directly affect you. You worked in Washington for a while. Maryland's right there. What are your thoughts when we're seeing this video today?
Well, first of all, how horrific and tragic it is for those family members who lost their loved ones. They were just, out on a bridge, and next thing you know, the bridge collapsed on them. And, with the hypothermia situation, you don't have a lot of chances to survive at 48-degree water temperatures. But I think that what will have to happen is you'll go back and you'll look at, whether or not they need to have pilot tugboats or something like that to assist these vehicles, these ships. When I was in Congress, we had the Port Everglades or in the district, and I went out on one of the pilot boats and looked at their procedures for guiding in these cargo ships. So maybe I'm sure that they'll go back and look at their emergency operating procedures and how they need to make sure that they're escorting these vehicles, these ships rather, out of the port area and out past these civilian bridges.
Well, it's interesting. Tugboats, I know very little about this stuff, but I do know some people that are on tugboats. They pull them in and out just to make sure, but they said that that's not cost effective, and there's never been a problem before. The bridge is over 50 years old, it's up to code, but the way it fell, like the director said, was just really unthinkable. So we'll see what happens. It could be human error, it could be a maintenance issue. They were only 30 minutes into a journey that was going to go over the course of 17 days with cargo. So, and they've been all around the world since 2015. Singapore flagship. So, Colonel, let's talk about what's happening with the Israeli-U.S. relations. Benjamin Netanyahu says, I'm not sending a delegation. Obviously, doing an abstention in the United Nations on a ceasefire measure was an insult to the Israelis. Have you ever seen relations between the two countries lower?
No, and again, this is all about politics. Joe Biden is looking at the uncommitted votes that he got out there in Michigan, which of course has the concentration of Dearborn, Michigan, where Rashida Tlaib is a representative, and she, without a doubt, has been a pro-Hamas spokesperson and issuing a lot of their propaganda. But why would we put the pressure on our number one ally in the Middle East to let up on a designated terrorist organization that has killed Americans and is holding Americans hostage? We should be supporting their efforts fully and wholeheartedly to make sure they eradicate and eliminate that threat, which is Hamas, when they're charged to eliminate the state of Israel and all Jewish people, but not just in the Middle East, but anywhere.
Yeah. Here is John Kirby, cut 12.
Number one, it's a non-binding resolution, so there's no impact at all on Israel and Israel's ability to continue to go after Hamas. Number two, as I said in my opening statement, it does not represent a change at all in our policy. It's very consistent with everything that we've been saying we want to get done here.
He knows that's not the truth. He actually, there's no big deal. They just abstained, just went ahead with it. We didn't go sign off on the language, but it shows a break with your partner. And guess who weighed in on it? The Ayatollah says we are beginning to see a fracture between the U.S. and Israel, and soon Israel will be gone, and the U.S. will be gone from the region.
And that's exactly what they want. And so he can sit up there and say that it's a non-binding resolution. It's the perception. And the perception that people are seeing there, being in Iran, who is the #1 state sponsor of Islamic terrorism, and they bankroll the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, is that they see that fissure that is coming along. They see that fracturing. And they know that this is an opportunity. On top of that, they're very thankful that the Biden administration has been the ones who have really opened up their resources and once again filled up their bank accounts and not told that they're responsible for the sanctions on their oil revenue. So they're very thankful for the Biden administration what they've done.
All right, I just want to bring into some of the, some of the crazy things that happened yesterday. Pretty much a manic Monday for the former president, but it came out, and 2/3 of which came out good for him. Number one, his company goes public on NASDAQ. It's worth about $4 billion. I'm talking about Truth Social. It made him the top 500 richest people in the world. Number two, so when President Biden comes out and calls him broke Donald, it's never looked more farcical. Number two, he found out that they put a $175 million bond on his company as he waits for an appeal on the civil case. Believe it or not, that's doable for him, and he's got 10 days to do it. So no theatrics for Letitia James and her padlocks. But number one, they're going to go ahead with the actual case itself. But when Trump came out, and people wonder why he was at the hearing, he didn't have to be, because he knew we wanted all the focus on here. He knew he'd come out and get all the cameras on him. And he keeps saying these are Biden cases, and they fact check him on the other channels, and they pull out of him, and they said, Biden is not behind this. But now he has proof. Listen.
We have violent criminals that are murdering people, killing people. We have drug dealers all over the place, and they go free and they can do whatever they want. But they go after Trump where there's not even a crime. And did you see the number of people were there? You had Colangelo, and behind him, and remember this, Colangelo was a DOJ guy. He's a Biden DOJ guy. Why is he in the Manhattan DA's office trying the case? That in itself is a conflict. He's in the Manhattan DA's office trying the case.
So Matt Candler was a senior consultant with the campaign, and he served as Department of Justice in the Department of Justice under Biden. Before that, he was in the New York Attorney General's office. So as soon as he left, he goes over there, and next thing you know, Alvin Bragg's got a case. Nobody else had a case, but he's got a case. And that's what Trump says. It appears to him that Colangelo made it happen. On the other side, when you find out that Nathan Wade is meeting in Athens, Georgia with White House counsel, why would you be doing that if you care about Fulton County, and it was Fulton County's problem with the former president? So even if all these things are just innocent and coincidental, the appearance is terrible, and I don't believe in coincidences.
No, these are not coincidental, and it also reminds me about how everyone was chastising Donald Trump when he talked about the Obama administration conducting surveillance against his campaign in the early transition stages of his administration after he had won, and that came out to be true, even though the left tried to make fun of it. And so, yes, here, once again, we see these collusion points, we see these coordinations between the Biden administration, Department of Justice, and
to transactions linked to Jim Biden as part of a criminal investigation in southern Florida, and Pennsylvania. That has nothing to do with James Comer or anybody else. But I just thought when Tony Bobulinski came out and talked about direct links with Joe Biden, the meetings that they had, the interactions that he provided, whether it was print or in person, and he does all these things, and Bobulinski's sound is nowhere found on any of the networks, none of the channels, because they couldn't touch him. Even the AOC thing, well, what statutes has he violated? The RICO statute. He's like, RICO is a method, or whatever she said. Racketeering is not really a crime, I guess.
Right, and Fulton County, Fannie Willis is trying to bring up, Trump and others on RICO and racketeering. So they cannot have it both ways. They cannot say that there are rules for thee, but not for me. But that is the mantra of these progressive socialists.
Right, and Colonel, I want to bring it to the border. We have it totally broken, and every time we bring it up now, it's been brought up. They say, well, there was bipartisan legislation in the Senate. The Republicans just want the issue. They don't want it solved. What is your reaction to that?
No, the only person that can solve this is the person that sits at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's the person that gave 90-plus executive orders unconstitutional to undermine our border. And how shameful it was to see some 300 single military-age males charge our border, knock down the fence, and trample over our National Guardsmen. Well, I got to tell you, I don't understand why they weren't armed, because they were put in a very dangerous situation. And now those individuals have been released into the country after being processed.
He is Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Colonel, thanks so much.
Always a pleasure. Take care, Brian.
You got it. When we come back, Senator Rick Scott. Don't move.
You're with Brian Kilmeade.
This portion of the Brian Kilmeade Show, sponsored by ABC Equipment, Tulsa's headquarters for rental equipment, big or small. ABC.
We're getting you up to speed with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
3.
Global Highway Patrol is investigating a deadly crash in Kay County.
2.
Supreme Court hearing arguments today in a major abortion pill case.
1.
Major rescue effort underway in Baltimore this morning after the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge early this morning. I'm Glenn Schroeder.
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
All right. If you are facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, and other unsecured debt, or struggling to make monthly payments, you need to know there are special services available right now that can significantly reduce what you pay each month by 40% or more. 40%. And that means if you qualify, you could save hundreds of dollars every month. Most people don't know that these services are available to help Americans like you with overwhelming credit card debt get significant savings and immediate financial relief without filing bankruptcy. That's why Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you may qualify for. They've helped consumers pay off $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. So do not wait. Get the relief you need. The information is free, so call the Accredited Debt Relief hotline right now. Call 800-858-7070, 800-858-7070. That's 800-858-7070. Program and services not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Tomorrow afternoon, come network with us at our 4th Women in Business Mixer, presented by LaBelle Restaurant and Events and Moody's Jewelry in Staple Hill and Gentowne. We can't wait to introduce you to our panelists. Carmela Hill, Entertainment Manager of LaBelle Restaurant and Events. Lindsay Hutchison, President and CEO of Tulsa Zoo. And Tammy Torkelson, President of Indigo Technology. We'll be at the beautiful LaBelle Restaurant located at the Riverwalk in Jinx. It's a free event, but you must register at
stretch of road where more people are killed or seriously injured in crashes. When you see a sign for a safety corridor, it means to be extra careful. Watch your speed, focus on the road, and leave plenty of space ahead to react. You know what else it means? More police and higher fines. Together, we can save lives in safety corridors, so we can all get there safely. A message from ODOT.
At the UPS store, we know things can get busy this upcoming holiday. You can count on us to be open and ready to help with any packing and shipping or anything else you might need.
Is there anything you can't do?
Actually, I don't have a good singing voice. The UPS... No. But our certified packing experts can pack and ship just about anything.
At least that's good. The UPS store, the unstoppable. Most locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. Come in today to get your holiday goodies there on time.
Fred Meyer always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices. And when you download the Fred Meyer app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's easy to save big. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply.
We've locked in low prices to help you save big store-wide. Look for the locked in low prices tags and enjoy extra savings throughout the store. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Cut through the clutter. When it comes to the latest big breaking news stories, the KRMG team will send it straight to your email. Sign up for our free breaking news email powered by Nelson Mazda. We'll make a play proud of you and listen live for continuous updates on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
$175 million bond that'll probably get him through the fall as a civil trial. What about this case? Will it affect his poll numbers either way in April?
They're going to go up. They're going to go up. People know this is just political persecution. I mean, they're only going after the guy because he's Biden's the main opponent. I mean, so this is what has got to stop in this country. Right? We've got to have the Democrats should not be able to try to say, hey, I don't like you on the ballot, so I'm going to get rid of you. That's exactly what they're doing. They're saying they're using political persecution. I mean, Department of Justice is going after people. Why in the heck did they raid Mar-a-Lago, but they didn't raid Biden's garage? I mean, go explain it. I mean, they sit here and they do all these things, and they have no explanation.
Are you worried about Haitians breaching the border?
Absolutely. I mean, Biden, what is Biden's plan about anything? I mean, he's appeased the Cuban dictator, he's appeased Maduro, appeased Ortega in Nicaragua, Haiti's falling apart. I mean, everything this guy touches falls apart, and they don't have a plan. So I've talked to the Coast Guard, I've talked to the Department of Justice. I want to make sure there's not mass migration into Florida. Right? My heart moves out to what's going on right now in Port-au-Prince.
It's just not the way you do things. We can't just let people in because their country is falling apart. We have to have our country, and I think you get that. Senator Rick Scott, thanks so much. And he's with Homeland Security and Armed Services. I appreciate it. When we come back, Veronica Maduro, CEO of Alter Ego, California-based company founded and led by Ukrainian women. Don't move, Brian Kilmeade Show.
Remember today, you listen to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Live team coverage starts now.
A terrifying bridge collapse in Maryland. Got an injury crash that just happened southbound direction of 169 as you come up on, in between Admiral and 11. At 9:30, we have cloudy skies, 35 degrees here in Tulsa. From the KRMG 24-hour Fox News Center, I'm Ben Morgan with team coverage of our top stories. And it is KRMG breaking news following the situation in Maryland. Several people remain missing after a cargo ship crashes into and destroyed the Francis Scott Key Bridge early this morning. Speaking about the disaster, Maryland Governor Wes Moore thanking rescuers for their efforts.
We saw a crisis, and you said, what can I do to help? Our response teams are doing everything in our power to rescue and recover the victims of this collapse, literally as we speak.
The NTSB is investigating the cause of the disaster. Some Oilton residents are calling for change after a police sergeant allegedly body slammed an elderly man.
Oilton Chief of Police Carl Stout says that the sergeant who had a scuffle with a homeowner just outside of city limits acted according to his training. But people in town say they want that sergeant out.
You don't have to body slam any 77-year-old man.
Tony Hall has lived in Oilton 25 years. He's one of thousands who watched the viral video.
Small town, we don't tolerate police brutality on anybody in our city. And the police department seems to be backing this, and it's wrong.
What do you want to see happen with this?
The officer gone.
He's starting a petition and urging his neighbors to take action.
That's Fox 23 and KRMG's Jenna James. Some Oklahoma lawmakers calling for repairs and renovations to be made to the state's 32 parks.
If we don't, it's going to fall down around us, and then we're not going to have that revenue coming into the state.
That's State Representative Tammy Talley. She tells KRMG that due to budget issues, facilities of the state parks have been neglected for years, with some cabins not having been refurbished since early in the 1980s. Talley and other representatives are working on bills that would lift the cap on the amount of park revenue that can be spent on upkeep and would allow the tourism department to make purchases on their own in a transparent manner. Tulsa's most accurate and dependable 5-day forecast. The 3 big things you need to know, and more of the Brian Kilmeade Show all next at 9:32.
This is where Tulsa turns first for Storm Center coverage.
Main concern, the tornado thread down around Henrietta.
Stay weather aware.
It's one hazard called fall signs hail.
Tune in often to get updates that matter to you.
That storm is packing quite a punch. Severe thunderstorm warning on that area.
The good news is this is going to hopefully be out of the area before the afternoon commute.
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's severe weather station.
Summer is... Hey, Mom, sorry for the late message. It's been absolutely crazy here. This morning I went for a run on Kailua Beach and saw the most insane sunrise. Then this afternoon, we fixed another Blackhawk. I'm learning a ton. And guess what? I'm going surfing on Sunday. We're going to
jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on legal bargain liquid detergent.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast checkout stage. Thanks. You're all set. That count it up and ship it around the globe stage.
This one's going to Thailand.
And that, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Whatever your stage, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen.
1023 KRMG has Tulsa's most accurate and dependable 5-day forecast.
A blustery, cold afternoon, clouds and sun mix, and only 52. Tonight we drop all the way to 30. Tomorrow 57. Thursday warmer, 68. Breezy. Friday 77. Saturday and Easter Sunday low to mid 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist James Elon from Fox 23 at 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Right now we have cloudy skies, 35 degrees here in Tulsa.
We're getting you up to speed with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
3. The Supreme Court hearing oral arguments in a case involving access to an abortion pill. 2. Former President Donald Trump's bond payment was slashed yesterday by federal appeals court, and he now only has to pay $175 million within the next 10 days. 1. And the search for survivors continues in the waters of Baltimore after the Francis Scott Key Bridge was knocked down by a cargo ship at 9:35 on Penwood.
1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
The fastest 3 hours in radio. You're with Brian Kilmeade.
Welcome back. In about 10 minutes, going to go on with Stuart Varney will come in and talk about what's happening with Shohei Ohtani. Buried in yesterday's news was what's going on with him in gambling. Yesterday, he came out through an interpreter and said, never better baseball. I'm really disappointed in my interpreter. Okay. Pretty sure it's not going to end like that. And we'll discuss that, and along with President Trump's court dates, which are a subplot to this whole election. Meanwhile, let's bring in Veronica Medora. She is the CEO of Alter Ego, and she is the California-based company founded and led by Ukrainian women, focusing on cybersecurity and drones. Veronica, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
First off, Veronica, what difference has Iranian drones made on this battlefield?
So first of all, let me start maybe, with our company's background. And so we represent Ukrainian technology. it comes to cybersecurity, it's a totally different situation because we technically represent so-called ethical hackers. Those are professionals, IT professionals who are known for being a part of cyber army of Ukraine. So we represent those talents in the U.S. as well. So we do not supply weapons to Ukraine.
But you provide technology.
That's right.
Right. So tell me how your company got to be formed. It's all women.
That's right. That's right. So we all, the majority of us came from actually from a nonprofit background. So previously we were working with the U.S. Department on campaign against gender-based violence, and we work with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And after the war started in Ukraine, a lot of our employees started to volunteer in Ukraine and became administrators for communication for cyber groups there. And at some point we realized that, naturally Ukraine developed a mass amount of IT talents who volunteered their time and they became part of cyber army of Ukraine. But as volunteers, they gained huge experience during the war in Ukraine that can be applied by U.S. or by NATO countries. So we formed a company to represent those talents for the U.S. And then we added also special military technologies. We started to work with the largest in Ukraine international military battalion called Georgian National Legion. They have almost 2,000 international soldiers and volunteers who are part of the army of Ukraine. So we started to work with that international division. They have a lot of great inventions, and then we started to present and patent them in the U.S. So that's kind of how it was born.
What do people know about the battlefield right now in Ukraine?
Well, what we, the information that we are getting from the front line directly is often really different from what we hear in news. So often we hear that soldiers on the front line, they're so underfunded and they need the basic ammunition, provision, like really the basics. They're lacking the basics very often. So I can tell that, from what we hear on the front line, that soldiers survive due to efforts of volunteers. So the biggest issue that we saw there is like Ukrainian army is being underfunded. And that's what we don't really read in news, but that's what we hear from the soldiers directly.
Might be frustrating for you?
Very, minding the fact that U.S. is sending so much funding to Ukraine and other countries as well, and hearing from the soldiers that they do not have warm clothes for winter, or they don't have enough bullets, or they don't have enough weapons to fight on the front line. That's very frustrating because, we have questions, what's going on.
Yeah, I find it unbelievably frustrating, and now they're going to see if they can get something out of the house, because you guys are the good guys in this, and clearly Russia is the aggressor. What's your take on the fact that after that horrific terror attack on Friday, they're trying to say that Ukraine had a role?
I do think that it has a lot to do with Russia picking friends, and they're picking wrong sides often, right? So I think that the basic consequences of that decision. So, for example, when the Israeli conflict started, right? Israel got cyber attacks enormous amounts, and the cyber groups who attacked Israeli systems, the hackers, some of them, the groups were funded by Russia. So I think that, making wrong decisions about who are your friends, this is what is facing now. So Ukraine has nothing to do with it. But I have another point that, it's not just kinetic war, it's a cyber war. And the cyber war started much before the physical attack happened in February. 2 years ago. And what our company does, we also dealing with problems like human trafficking of Ukrainian refugees from the borders of Poland and Ukraine. And these refugees being often trafficked to Middle East countries. And and technically they use cryptocurrencies to in human trafficking transactions. So what our company did, end of last year, we started campaign crypto against trafficking because crypto transactions are not anonymous, and platforms like Binance, they store all the data about transactions. So technically, every crypto transaction is traceable. So what we're doing, what we did actually, we traced down some of the transactions related to human trafficking of Ukrainian refugees to the countries of Middle East. I'll not name the countries now, but this is another big problem that we're facing: the abuse of cryptocurrencies, abuse of cyber tools in human trafficking of refugees, and so this all happening because of the war, and there is a mass on the border, and sometimes the refugees that they just get trafficked, and cyber tools are actively and crypto tools actively abused in transactions related to human trafficking.
Veronica Maduro, I love what you're doing. The CEO of Alter Ego, making a difference. Thanks so much, Veronica.
Thank you.
All right, we come up, FBN, simulcast, Varney and Company.
This portion of the Brian Kilmeade Show, sponsored by ABC Equipment, Tulsa's headquarters for rental equipment, big or small. ABC.
We're getting you up to speed with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
3.
Heavily armed federal authorities raiding homes belonging to rapper and entertainment mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
2.
A New York judge sets an April 15th trial date in former President Trump's hush money case, centering on claims that he falsified records to cover up payments made to an adult film star Stormy Daniels.
1.
Authorities in Baltimore searching through a murky soup of concrete and steel debris left by the collapse of a major bridge. I'm Glenn Schroeder.
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk, with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
You hear a lot of talk out there about vehicle warranties, but what about covering your biggest investment, your home? You never know when your AC or heating system, plumbing, major appliances like a washer, a dryer, or refrigerator, even a garage door will break down. Fortunately, Select Home Warranty provides peace of mind, taking the hassle and expense out of most home system and appliance repair. And in this economy, we can use every dime we save. Select Home Warranty offers nationwide coverage with award-winning service. Select Home Warranty is peace of mind you can trust. Repairs or replacements done by highly qualified service technicians. Call to enroll right now and save $150 plus 2 months free and free roof leak coverage. Call Select Home Warranty now for a free quote. 800-231-5953. Write this down. 800-231-5953. Or get a free quote online at shwvalue.com. That's shwvalue.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1839. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1839. That's 800-575-1839. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, Sean
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
As humans, we're naturally driven by the
to search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. When I was looking to hire someone, it was so slow and overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy way. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Spin your passion into a business with Shopify and break sales records with the world's best converting checkout. Let's hear that one more time. The world's best converting checkout. Shopify's legendary checkout makes it easier for customers to shop on your website, across social media, and everywhere in between. Now that's music to your ears. Any way you spin it, you can be a smash hit with Shopify. Start your $1 a month trial today at shopify.com/records.
One thing we all have in common. Nobody likes to be stuck in traffic when we have places to go.
First responders are going to be on the scene.
Jump on the highway just past the exit. Make sure you are aware of the problem areas around town. And when we go to Red Alert Traffic, turn up KRMG. We'll help you find alternate routes to get you to your destination as quickly and safely as possible. We are 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's traffic station.
Now, the Brian Kilmeade Show joins Fox Business's Farney and Company with Stuart Farney, live on your radio and on Fox Business. Here's Brian Kilmeade.
Now, on the back end of this, keep in mind, Stuart Varney, we usually leave some in. We'll be able to get some calls. So you scramble up right now. We can end the hour with your calls. We always go and have to be ended to a simulcast. We are understanding we're still following a bunch of stories this story becomes a story thanks to, I think, the LA Times and USA Today and ESPN. So if this is all true, good. Congratulations. You're the most naive person in the world, and somehow you gave your buddy the power to spend millions of dollars without you knowing it. But if not, this guy's looking at a ban. You lied like Pete Rose, you gambled like Pete Rose, and at least a year's suspension if he lied. And I just don't think people are going to stop investigating it. A lot of people were incredulous about that press conference, and no questions afterwards.
It's going to go on forever, and this is the last thing that baseball needs at this moment. Kilby, thanks a lot, Ryan. We'll see you again real soon.
We'll get him, Stuart. Thank you. So just to back on the Ohtani thing, as the Wall Street Journal writes today, there are obvious questions as to how the interpreter could have allegedly accessed and transferred millions from Ohtani to alleged bookmaker without attracting attention from Ohtani, one of his representatives said. It remains unclear why Ohtani's reps, confronted with questions about the bookmaker, chose to present a contrite interpreter with a story of Ohtani covering for gambling debts and how they could have done this without first running it by Ohtani himself. So that's what they're talking about. The story changed. They play the game over in Japan. They come, or Korea, I forgot which one. They're back. Dodgers are back. And then he was laughing with the interpreter on the bench while all this stuff was raging. I don't know about you, but the first time someone stole $4.5 million from me, if it does happen, and it's going to be a miracle if it does happen, I think I'd be angry. I don't think I'd be laughing on the bench with him. And I will say this. If you gamble, you want to win. And if you want to win, do you gamble on soccer and basketball and maybe football? Or are you in the locker room with the most famous player in baseball in California? And are you talking to teammates? Are you talking to other members? And you're hearing about injuries, you're hearing about problems in the dugout, you're hearing about managerial changes, you're hearing about somebody's arm being sore and pitching that night. If you're gambling and cheating one of your best friends in the world out of money, to me, you're trying to win. And one of the things this interpreter says, when I started to lose, I started to double down because I wanted to win the money back and forget about it. And to do that, do you try to predict who's going to win, Manchester City or Manchester United? Or do you ask some of the angels what they can tell you about other teams in your division? All this stuff is going to be traceable electronically, and if it gets deleted, that's almost a sign of guilt too. More spotlight on Pete Rose too. I mean, he commented yesterday, sooner or later he's going to sit down and say, what about me?
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze, and right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, and actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KRMG FM Sand Springs. KRMG Tulsa News is next on 102.3 KRMG.
You know, I've heard
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the Big Bargain detergent.
Remember today, you listen to
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Live team coverage starts now.
Continuing to monitor the search for survivors after a bridge collapse in Maryland. Got an injury crash working in the southbound direction of 169 between Admiral and 11th. At 10 o'clock, cloudy skies, 35 degrees here in Tulsa. From the KRMG 24-hour Fox News Center, I'm Ben Morgan with team coverage of our top stories. Continuing to follow breaking news, the search is on for several people missing in Baltimore after a cargo ship crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge this morning.
Secretary of Transportation. I said, there's 6 unaccounted for they're looking for. 2 people came out, 1 had to be rescued, the other one was fine. So we're talking about a total of 8 people they were considering. The 6 are unaccounted for, 1 had to go to the hospital. I said, well, what about cars and people that may be in the water? And he said, no, that we don't believe there are any. I said, you don't believe that there are people in the car. That's different than the information we were hearing earlier, but it doesn't appear at this point that this search and rescue mission in the governor's team, Maryland, as he called it, is under the assumption that there are people in cars that need to be rescued.
That's Fox's Griff Jenkins in Baltimore, Maryland. The former president of an Oklahoma manufacturing company was sentenced for tax evasion.
Philip Albert of Tulsa was president of Pelco Structural LLC. Albert pleaded guilty last year to evading more than $1 million in income taxes. Court documents say Albert directed a payroll service company to pay him more than $2.6 million. Albert instructed the payments to be classified as reimbursements rather than income, so that federal income taxes would not be withheld. On Monday, Albert was sentenced to 3 years in prison and ordered to pay more than $3 million in restitution. Crystal Kelly, 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
The Oklahoma Highway Patrol investigating a deadly crash in Kay County.
Troopers say a car hit 3 construction workers repairing a bridge embankment 2 miles north of Tonkawa shortly after 8 Monday morning. Deputies say 19-year-old Jacob Matuzak was pronounced dead at the scene, and 1 other worker was airlifted to a nearby hospital in critical condition. Had fallen asleep. Troopers say the official cause of the crash still under investigation. Denver Fox 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Tomorrow, the Oklahoma Medical Examiner's Office expected to release the full report of the death of an Owasso teen. Next Benedict killed themselves the day after a fight at Owasso High School. Earlier this month, the medical examiner released a summary report that confirmed Nex's cause of death as suicide. Last week, Tulsa County District Attorney Steve Coonsweller said he was not pressing any charges in the case. Tulsa's most accurate and dependable 5-day forecast. 3 big things you need to know. More on the Brian Kilmeade Show, all next to 10:02.
Tap our app. Our KRMG app is a free download for Apple and Android devices. Tons of information in the palm of your hand. The latest news, weather, traffic, talk, customizable alerts, and podcasts.
Damp Otter Files.
Full access, okay.
Oklahoma women want to know.
Launch now for the very latest by listening live to 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Hey, Mom, sorry for the late message. It's been absolutely crazy here. This morning I went for a run on Kailua Beach and I saw the most insane sunrise. Then this afternoon, we fixed another Blackhawk. I'm learning a ton. And guess what? I'm going surfing on Sunday. We're going to... Cool, be right there. All right, I need to head out. I'll see you next week. Love you.
Learn how you can be all you can be at GoArmy.com/Northwest Youth Expo.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If your lawn looks more like a desert than an oasis, then you know that lawn care isn't easy. If it were, everyone would do it, as well as TruGreen does it. In just 3 easy steps, TruGreen's online tools help customize a treatment plan for you. And it's all backed by the TruGreen guarantee. Go to TruGreen.com today to start your 3 easy steps and save 50% off your first application. It's time to trust your experts at TruGreen. Live life outside.
Fred Meyer always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices. And when you download the Fred Meyer app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's easy to save big. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply.
Choose from a great selection of digital coupons and use them over 5 times in one transaction. Check our app for details. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone.
Cynthia came to TurboTax. She just launched her new side gig, a true crime podcast.
I'm a first-rate detective with a golden voice.
TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax.
1023 KRMG has Tulsa's most accurate and dependable 5-day forecast.
A blustery cold afternoon, clouds and sun mix and only 52. Tonight we drop all the way to 30. Tomorrow 57. Thursday warmer 68. Breezy Friday 77. Saturday and Easter Sunday low to mid 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist James Adalock for Fox 23 and 1023 KRMG Tulsa's News and Talk.
Right now we have cloudy skies, 37 degrees here in Tulsa.
We're getting you up to speed with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
3. Europe remains on high alert after the terror attack in Moscow last week. 2. The U.S. Supreme Court is hearing arguments regarding the use of an abortion drug that's been on the market since 2000. 1. And Baltimore Department of Transportation officials providing the latest updates on the overnight collapse of Francis Scott Key Bridge following a collision with a massive cargo ship at 10:06. I'm Ben Morgan on 1023 KRMG Tulsa's News and Talk.
News headquarters in New York City, the most approachable radio host in America. It's Brian Kilmeade.
Welcome to the latest moments of the Brian Kilmeade Show. So glad you're here. Garrett Ventry's coming up a little bit later, founder and president of GRV Strategies, former senior advisor to Senator Chuck Grassley. A real hold on which the Republican Party's heading, both to traditional one and the Trump movement. And McCarthy standing by, too. We're also following the latest on the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge after a barge slammed into it. Now it turns out that they said they lost propulsion, they lost energy, they lost power, and that's what caused the collapse of the bridge. We are searching for 6 people. They recovered 1 alive, and he is in the hospital. Before we get to Andy McCarthy, let's get to the big 3.
Now, the stories you need to know. It's Brian's Big 3.
Number 3.
Many of our professional dealings with the RNC over the last 6 years have been met with gaslighting.
We've also said election deniers is not just they can do that on our airwaves, but that they can do that as one of us, as paid contributors to our sacred airwaves.
That is a meltdown. Ronna McDaniel, hired at NBC, caused a massive network mutiny, and I just don't get it, but happy to watch and learn.
Number 2.
Number 1, it's a non-binding resolution, so there's no impact at all on Israel and Israel's ability to continue to go after Hamas. It does not represent a change at all in our policy.
Not true, and he knows it. Biden breaks with Israel, and Netanyahu breaks with Biden. At stake, peace in the Middle East. Who's happy? Our enemies, Iran, China, Russia. I have the details.
Number 1.
All of these different cases, so ridiculous, the cases, every one of them is ridiculous. They're all trying to damage Trump as much as possible. It's having the reverse effect, but maybe someday it won't. I don't know. But it's having the reverse effect.
There you go, Donald Trump. Much to the chagrin of his detractors, former President Trump has more than survived his manic Monday. His bond reduced, he can make it. Truth Social goes public, he has billions more in his bank account. But he will have his first criminal trial beginning on April 15th with jury selection. Andrew McCarthy joins us now. Fox News contributor, former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Andy, you got a shout out from President Trump yesterday.
Yeah, I was a good guy yesterday, so I could be a knucklehead by the end of today, so who knows?
Right, yeah, you call it as you see it. You thought it should have been reduced, right?
I really think that, Brian, if you're just concerned about assuming New York State prevails on appeal, which I don't think they will, but let's just for argument's sake they do. Trump's company is under monitoring now.
Yeah.
And his biggest asset is New York real estate. So it's not like Tish James will have a problem finding things to execute on if she, down the road the appeal goes her way. And under those circumstances, I could understand a nominal bond. And look, if it's like $100 million, that's not really
nominal.
That's not nominal in absolute terms, but in terms of what a normal bond requirement would be. But why does Trump need to post much of a bond when he's got all this real estate? It's not like he's got bundles of cash that he can put on a plane and take out of the country and go someplace. The real estate in New York is not going anywhere. And there's a monitor in place to make sure that he doesn't dissipate his assets. So I just don't see that this should have been as controversial as it was.
So the Washington Post editorial section, I'll just give you an excerpt, because this might seem like another example of courts helping Trump escape. such as the one in question, judges and juries are seeking appeal should not be effectively impossible or expensive to the point of imposing vast and irreparable harm. They also say, few appeals result in a reversal of the lower court's judgment. I want to get that line in too. Is that true?
I think, probably on the whole, most civil and criminal cases get upheld on appeal. But, that's like a 30,000-foot view. Every case is different. And here, you have a case that, unlike the vast run of cases that go up on appeal, Brian, this case is an unprecedented use of a statute where there was no jury to be sort of second-guess the judge. So he made it up as he went along. He contends that he knows better than, like, Deutsche Bank and other financial institutions that had skin in the game, what interest rate should have been charged and what coverage rate should have been charged. This is a very novel case. It's they took a consumer protection statute and they applied it out of that context and in the context of the big bucks financial transactions where the players on both sides are very sophisticated financial actors. I think the Court of Appeals may have a very different take on this than Judge Engoron did.
So the president brought up, he said, what is this, the other networks just tune out. As soon as President Trump says this links, these are Biden lawsuits, as soon as that happens, when Trump says that, they all bail out. They say he's lying. Well, then you see Nathan Wade have 2 meetings, at least, that he invoiced for with White House counsel in Athens, Georgia. We don't know what Fonnie Willis did. We know she met with at least with the vice president one time. And now we have a situation where this guy, Matt Colangelo, who used to be with the Department of Justice, is now with Alvin Bragg and leading this case. Listen to President Trump yesterday.
We have violent criminals that are murdering people, killing people. We have drug dealers all over the place, and they go free and they can do whatever they want. But they go after Trump when there's not even a crime. And did you see the number of people were there? You had Colangelo, and behind him, and remember this, Colangelo was a DOJ guy. He's a Biden DOJ guy. Why is he in the Manhattan DA's office trying the case? That in itself is a conflict. He's in the Manhattan DA's office trying the case.
What's your thought about that?
Regret. When I think back, when I was a young prosecutor in New York, I was on the federal side, but across the street was the Manhattan District Attorney's Office of Robert Morgenthau, who was an institution in law enforcement in New York, U.S. attorney for many years before, for decades being the Manhattan District Attorney. And I think Bob Morgenthau would not have cottoned to the idea that he needed to recruit people from outside because his office wasn't competent enough to handle their own big cases. I must tell you that, having worked for many years while I was a federal prosecutor with state prosecutors and task force arrangements and cooperative investigations and the like, there's nothing illegal about the federal government working with state governments, but they're supposed to be transparent about it. And what I see going on here is the same thing I see with Biden and Merrick Garland's appointment of Jack Smith, which is that they're trying to coordinate the lawfare campaign against Trump without having their fingerprints on it.
But are those fingerprints? Is Matt Colangelo fingerprints if he leaves the Biden Justice Department and goes to Alvin Bragg?
I think it is. I mean, he was a very high-ranking person in the Biden Justice Department. It doesn't mean that Biden is calling the shots in Bragg's prosecution, but what it does puncture, I think, Brian, is the claim by Biden and his Justice Department that they don't have it, that Biden himself and his campaign don't have anything to do with the lawfare crusade against Trump. I just think that's wrong. Right. And there was reporting in Politico, what was it, like 6 weeks ago, that Biden was annoyed at Garland because he thought that Trump would have been basically convicted and sentenced by now. He doesn't understand why it's taken so long.
So I want to talk about the actual case, the Alvin Bragg case. They got to pick. It goes to jury selection April 15th. Do you expect that to happen? And if so, how important is jury selection? Will they have a pool in New York City that could actually be unbiased about Donald Trump either way?
Yeah, well, I'm not as confident in a state jury as I would be in a federal jury. And the reason for that, Brian, is like when I worked in the Southern District
there's nobody here that's not biased. I mean, if you are the defense attorney, I'm always shocked how quick jury selection goes. But to me, that's the case, isn't it?
Well, it's a lot of the case. The thing I think that the dynamic that's very important that people don't take enough notice of is what goes on between the judge and the jury. The jury takes a lot of cues from the judge and how the judge conducts a case. And there's a lot of that that's kind of body language that doesn't necessarily come out in the transcript. But, you know, if the judge is hostile to Trump's lawyers and seems to be embracing the prosecutors, well, we'll have to see how he behaves himself in front of the jury, right? But, you know, that conveys a signal to the jury about what the court thinks of the case, which can be a very powerful impression on them. So I think this is a very hard case for Trump because I think his best defenses, which, you know, when the former president talked about the column that I did in National Review over the weekend about Bragg's case, I think there's very strong arguments against Bragg's case, but they're mainly legal arguments. Like, for example, the idea that he doesn't have authority to enforce the federal campaign finance laws, which he's trying to do under cover of this New York business record statute. Now, I think that's a very good argument. I think it could be one that an appellate court will reverse on. I hoped that Judge Merchan would give it more of the time of day. He seems to be a rubber stamp for Bragg. But it's a legal argument. It's not one, you know, the jury's not going to hear about Bragg's jurisdiction or the statute of limitation. The jury's going to hear about hush money and Michael Cohen and how Trump kept his books. The day-to-day of how the case comes in front of the jury is very different from the legal issues that envelop it that may ultimately end up in getting the case thrown out. But that'll happen on appeal. It's not going to happen at trial. And what I hope is that the jury will see that what Bragg has done here is that this is a jury from Manhattan where they have a very significant crime problem. They will see that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is spending goo gobs of money and resources on a nonviolent business records misdemeanor type case that Bragg has turned into 34 felonies of Trump or Osama bin Laden. I think a common sense juror looking at that would be offended by it, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see and find out about those documents. Either way, it's going to start April 15th. Joe Tacopina is out. The new team is in. Are you convinced that he's well represented?
Yeah, I think the problem he has is probably going to be similar to the problem he had in the civil case, which is, you know, I think the judge may be very friendly to the state lawyers, and that's a lot for even the most competent defense lawyers to overcome. But from what I can see so far, they seem to be, you know, they're doing a good job. It's just that they have a judge that seems to have bought wholesale what Bragg's theories of the case are, and they haven't seemed to get much traction with them. And that, to me, that's kind of what happened with Judge Engoron on the civil side.
So just real quick on the Jack Smith side, they're going to hear immunity on both sides as the presidents have immunity. It's going to be a tough win if the president's got to come from behind to win that one. Not many people expect him to. But if in June they'll decide whether the president has immunity or not. After that, Jack Smith will go, okay, let's go to trial. Can he just do that?
If Judge Chutkan lets him, yes. Now, two things on that, quick. I think Trump is going to lose on the immunity. It's not certain, but I think he probably will. But much more important than the immunity is the obstruction case that the court will hear in April and will decide on in June. And if they throw out that obstruction charge in connection with the Capitol riot cases, which I think there's a good chance they'll do, that will mean it'll have to go in the Trump case as well. And it's central to Smith's indictment. So to me, much more important from Trump's standpoint is the obstruction issue than the immunity issue. The immunity issue delayed things, but the obstruction issue may actually harpoon a lot of Smith's case.
Right. So a separate hearing on whether the president can be charged with obstruction?
Well, the president is charged with obstruction. It's a 4-count indictment, and 2 counts are the same obstruction statute that the Supreme Court will consider in the case involving the January 6th rioters. And what I'm saying is the argument for applying that obstruction statute is much stronger, in my view, to applying it to the rioters than it is applying it to Trump. Because what you have to show is whether people had corrupt intent or not. And I think it's a lot easier to conclude that someone had corrupt intent if they say, take a flagpole and hit a cop over the head with it, versus what they've accused Trump of doing, which is basically Trump is said to have had corrupt intent because he argued John Eastman's legal theory that Pence had the authority to invalidate electoral votes. And as I think I've said to you before, if we're now going to take the position that a frivolous legal theory is a felony, when I was a prosecutor, I could have charged 6 felonies a day.
Thanks so much, Andy McCarthy. So complicated. That's the times we live. Andy McCarthy, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, we've got a few minutes on the other end. Garrett Ventry will bring us inside this campaign. Well, Donald Trump is winning in every battleground state, but for how long? That's the question. We'll discuss it on the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Expanding your knowledge base. It's the Brian Kilmeade Show.
This portion of the Brian Kilmeade Show, sponsored by ABC Equipment, Tulsa's headquarters for rental equipment, big or small. ABC.
We're getting you up to speed with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
3. A man will spend a decade in prison for beating another man in a wheelchair, setting his home on fire, and trying to set the victim on fire. 2. State lawmakers working on 2 bills that will hopefully fix up and improve all of Oklahoma's state parks. 1. And Oilton Police Chief Carl Stout says the police sergeant who got into a physical confrontation with an elderly homeowner earlier this month was acting according to his training. I'm Ben Rugen.
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk, with the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes.
And paid for by America First Tax Group. Attention, if you or your business is behind in filing your tax returns, or if you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, please listen carefully. The IRS does not joke around and will not stop their collection efforts. If you're tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments and would like to get a fresh start, we can help. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle tax problems for those who owe more than $10,000. We can help settle your delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce your back taxes significantly. Even if you can't afford to pay your back taxes, you can still get the help you need. We've helped thousands of taxpayers just like you, but you must call 800-217-1316 today to stop your tax problem from getting worse. The information is free and the help is real. Call 800-217-1316. That's 800-217-1316. Again, 800-217-1316.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 5 GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
News and talk is what we do.
I have not felt in fear once living in Tulsa. It all depends on who you're hanging out with, doesn't it?
Yes.
And what you're doing, the choices you make most of the time.
When you need to know, turn up KRMG to get the very latest on what's going on around Green Country and around the world. Sign up for free breaking news alerts with our KRMG app. You can also listen live anywhere instantly. We are 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk.
Hey, Mom, sorry for the late message. It's been absolutely crazy here. This morning I went for a run on Kailua Beach. I saw the most insane sunrise. Then this afternoon, we fixed another Blackhawk. I'm learning a ton. And guess what? I'm going surfing on Sunday. We're going to... Cool, be right there. All right, I need to head out. I'll I'll see you next week. Love you.
Learn how you can be all you can be at GoArmy.com/Northwest Youth Expo.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Does managing your healthcare feel like a full-time job? Bounced from one doctor to the next? Did they get your lab results? Were you supposed to bring those? All the forms, the bills, the not-a bills, the...
Press 4 to read these options.
Does healthcare have to be this way? At Kaiser Permanente, all of us work together to make healthcare easier. And with integrated care and coverage, all you have to do is focus on your health. Learn more at kp.org. Kaiser Permanente, for all it is you.
Kaiser Foundation Health Plan of Washington.
Scam alerts, financial security, national security, and anything that concerns your well-being. We'll make sure to keep you informed.
Scammers trying even harder to get a hold of your personal data.
And when it's important to you, we'll go in-depth to make sure you have all the facts. We are 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk.
The talk show that's getting you talking. You're with Brian Kilmeade.
Hey guys, Matt Brash here, enjoying some March Madness with my great friend Pete Rose. And we were talking about the current goings on in baseball right now, and Pete wanted to mention something.
Well, back in the 70s and 80s, I wish I'd have had an interpreter. I'd be scot-free.
And then he's talking about Shohei Ohtani, who yesterday just basically threw an interpreter and said, no questions, never bet on baseball. I'm very mad at my friend Phil Betrayed. He swallowed $4.5 million from me. Left, when there are people asking a lot of questions and only speaking Japanese, he claims to not be able to understand it. I don't think people are going to let up on this. I don't care what baseball decides to do. If he didn't do anything, then it's no problem. If all of what he said is true, you're right, it's over. But for judging by what we saw during the steroid era, what we've seen before through Pete Rose and him being less than honest about it, when we see the way this thing starts and the way they end up, precedent says we're not getting the whole story. And I know baseball doesn't want anything to do with this. They're not responsible for this because sports gambling is more challenging than ever, but it's illegal in California. They are in California. That sports book was raided. This guy, Matt Cowley, and he got all his paperwork. They're going to see about these signatures. They're going to talk to the bankers. They're going to talk to the people that okayed the line of credit and the wiring of funds, and we'll see if the story holds up.
Remember today, you listen to
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk.
Live team coverage starts now.
People remain missing after a bridge collapse in Maryland.
Highway 75 ramp to 244 and 1st Street, that's the northeast corner of the IDL, closed today for right-of-way work.
At 10:30, we have cloudy skies, 37 degrees here in Tulsa. From the KRMG 24-hour Fox News Center, I'm Ben Morgan with team coverage of